I think we've done a lot on understanding the risks. Now I think I want to bring this conversation more towards actions, knowledge towards actions. I work with a group called the Urban Futures Program at NCAR. We work across scales. I think it's important to look at the local scale, but also understand regional, global, and how we can work across scales to solve problems. We have this framework, social, economic, technological, environmental governance, and we apply that to our projects. I want to touch on 5 points. I'm going to go through the presentation that I think we could have urgent actions in this community and knowledge to develop those actions. First, growth and growth management. Greg brought that up, how we do that. I think we need to include social integration, equality, and bring diversity to this community. This is pictures of people. We often see images of 2 cities within each city. I think thinking of our affordable housing in Boulder, I saw at the national level they reported out on what happened to those affordable housing in Boulder way before we got those maps out. Okay, infrastructure, that's really key. It's an area I work on a lot. We have a partnership across cities of India, China, and the US. This is another network, 20 US universities working on sustainable cities, addressing climate risk to water supply and public health. We have a theme working specifically on sustainability and equity together. So you see some things flying across the screen here, and I think when you think about a city, we're a demand center for goods and services. These are things for measuring emissions, but when you think about it, we need food, water, energy, and that comes from outside city boundaries, critical things to our survival. Transportation, we see much more vehicles and traffic. We had a lot of damage to our roads, especially in the canyons. Are there ways of coming up with additional options for those that need services, that are disabled, that are elderly, and so on? Food, energy, and water. I was at a workshop in Beijing and megacities. Boulder is different from megacities, but in Colorado, we use as much energy as Austria with half the population. How do we address reducing our emissions? This is looking at places and not just downtown Boulder, but across Boulder. I think they're gathering spots for addressing resilience to different extremes, really having an active, thriving, livable community. An exercise I did in Delhi, what are the priorities for addressing your community? These are across extreme weather events, environmental issues, and infrastructure. How do you go about prioritizing your top 3 priorities for bringing about action towards sustainability and resilience? Another approach, of course, we have to anticipate climate change, reduce vulnerability and impacts. Make Your City Better is a web tool that's developed in Bangalore with people can post sticky notes and vote on issues that they care about. Global level, the United Nations just adopted the Sustainable Development Goals. One of the big ones is making cities better places. There's targets, there's indicators, and we can be a part of that and get funding from global levels. Something that are targets in this global framework, addressing equity, transportation, sustainable growth and urbanization, and addressing health and disasters, so very relevant to what we're doing here. Our urban planet, we're moving towards an urbanizing world. How urbanization happens will shape emissions trajectories. We have 1 billion cars in the world today. We're heading towards 2 billion vehicles. So what that means for energy and climate, there's a lot of uncertainties. I'm showing investments here. Beijing, what they're investing in, it's a lot of 50% transportation, a little bit in other categories. In terms of our investments in roads and bridges after the flooding, understanding why we're prioritizing what we are, and are they the most strategic investments, or are they just band-aids on the problems that exist? Here I want to just use a few words. I think we need to accomplish using geodata. I think it's a great way to visualize and prioritize. Think about striving towards overarching needs. This is an image of some of the things I worked on in the consulting sector, many issues here that are relevant to our community, and I think we need integrated teams that come together from the very early stages to achieve the most successful outcomes. Lead and also reflect as we lead. I think we're all in this community with a lot of people that are not in the risk community, how we go about communicating what we do, and reflect on what we've done so far with those that aren't usually at the table but could provide useful insights. Here's my contact information, and I think there's a Chinese proverb, if we planted a tree 20 years ago, that would have been best, but I think we can also plant that tree here together today, and I'm excited to work together as this community. So thank you.